my cheese. Cheese my cheese. I am the cheese man.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hack a Week TV. This week we're gonna make
Cheese.
cheese.
Cheese!
Cheese! Yeah, we'll show you how to make cheese and what it's all about. But first we need to know what cheese is. Well, cheese is basically concentrated milk. You coagulate the milk with rennet, which is an enzyme, and citric acid. And as it coagulates, it takes all of the solids of the milk and makes them all stick together in curds, and then you separate the curds from the whey, which is the other stuff that's left over, the liquids and whatnot. And then you work that around and you press it, and depending on what you do with it after that, it will make different kinds of cheeses. Today we're going to make mozzarella cheese. Cheese has been around for thousands of years. In fact, they think that maybe 5,000 years BC people were making cheese. And it's theorized that maybe cheese might have been discovered by some traveler that was carrying milk in a bag made out of maybe a sheep's stomach or a goat's stomach. They used to make those to carry liquids around. And as the milk sat in there and got warmed up in the sun during the day and jostled around a little bit, the rennet in the stomach lining, which is an enzyme that's in the stomach lining, and maybe some of the leftover acids in the stomach lining, helped to coagulate the cheese, form the curds, and then at the end of the day when the traveler opened it up, guess what? There was whey in there that quenched his thirst, and the solid cheese that took care of the appetite. So let's get started, and if you want to do this, check out www.cheesemaking.com. That's where we got this kit. This is a cheese making kit. Everything is in there that you need except for milk and water. Here we go. Okay, our kit came with some cotton muslin, and you use that when you're making the ricotta cheese. This will make two kinds of cheese, mozzarella or ricotta. The ricotta makes smaller curds, I believe, and that's why we need this later on in the process. These are the rennet tablets. We're only going to use a quarter of one of these, and then we'll keep them stored in the fridge so they stay fresh. They'll stay for a long time that way. It also came with a package of citric acid and cheese salt and this nifty little dairy thermometer. Get it out of the package here. That came with it also. You need this because temperatures are important when you're doing certain things in the process here. So we need milk that is pasteurized but not ultra pasteurized. You don't want ultra pasteurized, it won't work. You need some of that bacteria and friendliness in there for that. So we have a gallon of milk. We're going to use a whole gallon of milk. We need water that has no chlorine in it. Very important. No chlorine in the water. So I'm using distilled water. And I'm really sure there's going to be nothing in there. If you have just spring water at your house, you could probably use that. But if it's tap water, you don't want to use that. No chlorine, can't have that. Because that'll kill the bacteria. We don't want to do that. We want the bacteria to happen here. So the first thing we need to do is to dissolve one of these tablets of rennet into a quarter of a cup of cool water. So let's pour out our quarter cup. Okay. We'll take one of the rennet tablets and pop it out of here. We're going to cut it into quarters. Okay, there we go. 1/4 tablet. We'll dissolve that in the water. Okay, that's all dissolved. So we set the dissolved water in rennet aside. And now we need to measure out 1 cup of water. There we go. And to that we're going to add some citric acid. Cut that package open. And we have to add, let's see, 1.5 teaspoons. So there's my teaspoon. One. And 1/2. Okay, stir that around and get it all dissolved. Okay, all set there. Now we need to take this great big pot we have here. We're going to pour our milk into this, put it on the stove, and then we need to heat it up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit and keep stirring it while we do that. So we're going to move over to the stove now. Alright, we've got the pot on the stove. Let's pour in the whole gallon of milk. Turn on the burner. So this is going to take a little while to warm up. So through the magic of video editing, while I start stirring and it's heating, we will magically jump ahead to the point where it's at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Are you ready? Ready for the jump? Here we go. Almost forgot we need to add the citric acid while we're heating this up. The citric acid solution. Okay, we're at 90 degrees. Time to move it. Okay, now we have to add the rennet that was dissolved in the water earlier. And we're going to pour this in and then stir it around, kind of an up and down motion for about 30 seconds. I want to do this. A little bit left in the cup, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure it's all out of there by doing that. Okay, a little bit more stirring. Okay, the rennet has been added. Now we're going to cover this pot and let it sit for 5 minutes. Look, it's turning into cheese. It's starting to form a little bit of a curd. A few more minutes. Let's check on our curds and whey. Look at that. It's all separated. These are the solids in here. Out here is the whey, the water. So we've separated the solids from the water. A gallon of milk weighs about 9 pounds, and it'll yield about 1 pound of cheese with this method. So the next step would be to cut these curds up. So we're going to just pass the knife through here, slice these up into some chunks, like so. Now we're going to move this back to the stove, and we're going to heat it to 110 degrees this time while we stir it around. Okay, that's it. We're at 110. Now we're going to remove this from the heat and continue to stir it around for about another 3-5 minutes, something like that. The longer you stir it, the firmer the cheese will get. So I'm going to go for about maybe 5 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes. I kind of like a nice firm mozzarella. Alright, now we need to start ladling these curds into the colander gently. I'll be draining off all of the whey. And here's our curds all poured into the colander, and half of them I put over here in a separate bowl because I'm going to do some stuff with that separately with some herbs added to it. And it's easier to do the next step if we do it about a half a batch at a time. That next step is to take the curds and immerse them in some water that I have heating up over on my stove. The water needs to heat up to 135 degrees, and then what this is going to do is kind of cook the curds, and once they get to that stage, it'll start to look real stretchy, and that'll be the stage where we take it out and then start working it by hand and turning it into a nice ball of mozzarella. Okay, here we go. We need to just dip these curds right into the 135 degree water a few times. And then we're going to start folding them over a little bit. start to look stretchy. And we can take it out of here and start pulling it. And that will align the protein strands and give us nice, soft, stretchy mozzarella cheese. Okay, the curd is at about 135 degrees, which is the ideal temperature to start pulling and stretching and adding salt and any other flavorings like herbs that we want. So we're going to take this out of the water now, start doing the fun part. Okay, time to stretch the cheese. First we're going to add some cheese salt. Sprinkle that on the top. Why don't you go ahead and work that a little bit, Lisa, and then we'll add the rest after you fold that over a few times. Looks like fun. Is it squishy?
Very squishy. It's probably good.
Okay, we're just going to keep doing that for a little while until it starts to get nice and gooey.
Feels like warm Play-Doh.
I want to keep working it until it's smooth and shiny. Stretch it out, that'll elongate the protein strands. Kind of like the way bread dough is when you're doing the thing with the gluten strands, I guess. Okay, go ahead and pick that ball up. We'll move this out of the way. And we're going to let this sit in some 50-degree water for about 5 minutes. What that's going to do is to help cool down the cheese and help it hold its shape. And after about 5 minutes, we will put some more ice in here, make it really cold, and let it sit for 15 minutes. And that step is critical because it protects the silky texture and keeps it from becoming grainy. Alright, we got the second batch ready. All warmed up to 135 degrees. I'm just going to add about half of the amount of salt. We did a little sample taste of the other stuff, which is now cooling in our ice water. It was a little salty, so maybe a little less on the salt this time. And this is going to be the fun part on this one. I'm going to add some pesto. And now we're just going to do the same thing as before. Just get in there and start folding and stretching. This is fun. This is the fun part. This is like playing with Play-Doh. It's like Lisa said. Like warm Play-Doh. Making cheese is fun. I think everybody should try this at least once. It's always fun making stuff like this that you get to eat afterwards. Food is fun for that. You get to eat your project. There we go. Mozzarella ball number 2 with pesto added. That should be yummy. Okay, we're ready to try our cheese. You ready, Lisa?
Yes.
This one's the plain one. And just salt. Ooh, nice texture. Really firm. Let's cut a piece of that in half. And then this is the one with the pesto. This should be interesting. This one came out just a little bit softer. Okay. Ready to sample. Which one do you want to try first?
think the clean one.
I'll just try it all by itself first. Pesto. It's really yummy. Wow.
It's really good.
Let's try the plain one. This is a lot firmer.
It is really firm.
We make good cheese. Try some with a cracker now. I like them both. I don't really like one better than the other. They're both really good.
They're really good. And a little pesto goes a long way in the cheese.
It sure does. Yummy. Well, there you have it. Cheese. Homemade cheese. You should try making some. This is really fun. This was a really, really fun project. And thank you, Lisa, for buying the cheese kit. She got it just for Hack a Week, so we could do a make some cheese project because we're a couple of cheese heads. They're really good. Till next time. She said keep on hacking. More cheese, please. Yummy, yummy, yummy.
I love breeze.
Breeze for me. I love my breeze.